Anyone? Kevin, you with us?
I'm sorry. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the North American pub chat for this evening, which is something of a continuation from the last pub chat, the UK pub chat. If you haven't had the chance to watch that, please do so as soon as you get the opportunity to. But tonight, we have Mr. Clapperjack on, and he is bringing to light some of the issues that are going on in Belarus right now, what is often referred to as Europe's last dictatorship. So I'll go around the table really quickly and see how everybody's doing, and then we'll just keep on going from where we were. Mr. Dawson, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing well. This is an intense day with these streams. Not quite as lively as we usually are, but I do believe that we're on the right track to making sure that, this needs to be brought to people to make sure everybody truly knows what's going on. So definitely in support of it. Can't wait to get this part going too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can't always be laughing at silliness. Krafty Keelah, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I was on the first part of the stream, and again, I want to thank Clapperjack for coming on and sharing, and for the people that were in the first part of the stream, the UK pub chat, for sticking with us, because it is a heavy subject, but it's so fucking important.
Absolutely. And we also have SciStrikeling joining us. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, actually. Thanks for asking. I'm glad to be here tonight, and definitely looking forward to this topic.
Absolutely. Good to have you with us. And Steaming Cup of Reason, how are you today?
I am very good, thank you. I missed the first part, actually. I just woke up at the tail end of it, so I'm glad I could be here for the second part.
Absolutely. Good to have you with us. And manning the controls tonight, Booleanenator, how are you today?
I am good. Just got lucky with that power outage being right in between the amount of time it would take to set this back up all over again, so I managed to pull it off. Yeah, for those who don't know, in the live chat, obviously, I had a power outage. I was all set up, ready to go with this show, and click, there goes the power. So I had to do it again, and now, but we're good. We're ready.
I'm an agnostic, but I'll say it anyway. If there is a God, he's got a funny sense of humor.
Bastard.
Keeping an eye on the chat as usual, we have Aimee and Matt. How are you guys today?
We're doing very well, thank you. We're doing really well. This is definitely a subject that needs to be brought to light, so I'm glad that we're continuing on with this. World events are vastly important, and this explains why. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'd even go so far as to add that this is part of the reason why legacy media is dying. They're not talking about this, but we are. And we've
Absolutely.
also brought BM Furball with us today. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful, trying to stay alive at home by myself with my children. They haven't killed me yet. Cross your fingers for me.
Dead man walking.
I'm terrified. I'm not sure how long this is going to last. My wife might just decide not to come back.
Uh-oh.
She'll just send contractors to fix the place.
She's going to realize how great it is to not be around the children. And she's like, yeah, I'll come back like a weekend a month. How about that?
Well, good to have you with us. And the man of the hour, Clapperjack, thanks very much for coming on and for staying on for a second half here to shed some more light on this. Did you want to just kind of keep going? Is there a spot where you left off that you want to pick up from?
Well, I guess. And first of all, I would like to thank you for organizing sort of this whole thing. Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. But as for the sort of where we took off, not really super important, but there's a couple of things that we can, fill the gaps that weren't really mentioned in the sort of the big picture.
Sure. Yeah, and give a little background as we do them as well for anybody that wasn't there earlier to make sure that we haven't lost them in the shuffle.
Oh yeah, because not everybody's seen the previous one.
Right.
Okay, so I guess we should open up the album with the stickers.
Okay.
I
do
believe.
you want me to just start in order then, and we'll just explain them?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
As to explain why this album specifically, on the previous stream I organized a imager album, which was the easiest part for me, so I can keep both images and videos and links in one place and in chronological order, and so that everybody can see and understand and follow along. So the link to that, I guess we can share or put in the description, maybe.
Yeah, if somebody else can get that, but
Yeah. We'll get it figured out here in a second. Scene of the pants stuff tonight.
yeah.
It will be in the descriptions.
Yeah, it'll be in the descriptions of both pub chats, and I'm sure somebody will drop it into the live chat here as well.
And
Right.
we had a quick super chat there. Did we want to get that before we go any further here?
Mm-hmm. I wonder if
yes,
Matthew's
sure.
handy.
Yeah, let's see if we can get him for you.
Oh, he's missing in action.
Yeah, here he is.
8-ball for life, more like 8
B-ball.
B-ball.
Yeah.
B-ball for life. B-ball for life for
Yeah.
$5. Said, and you said at BM Furball, thanks for letting me use your video. Can you do it with no more long super chats? It's gonna get me rats.
Just
It definitely triggered a lot of slurps.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, he asked to use some of my footage that I got from Hawaii, and I don't have admin. Otherwise, I'd drop the link in. Let me drop it in here and see if somebody can post it.
Drop it in here, and I'll drop it into the side chat.
Yeah, this is his video about some of the observations I made when I was in Hawaii last summer.
All right, so should we, Clapperjack, should we just go ahead and start with the first sticker?
Yeah, I guess. So, as a bit of a prelude to, not a prelude, to explain what's happening here. Why stickers? Why any of this? So, the people in my government, they are old and inept. They don't do technology much, and people tried to overcome the dictatorship pretty much in the same. They applied the same methodology as Trump did. They took to Telegram rather than Twitter in this time to bypass the lack of information in the official government media, that the murders, the beatings, the abuse of power, everything. And so that's why protesters flourished. They were able to organize and be one step ahead of the curve, so to speak, one step ahead of the government. And this game is a game of evolution, however, and those who do not adapt, they die. So the government did just that. They adapted. They took to Telegram as well. They figured out what it is. They threw out this sticker pack suddenly, out of nowhere, completely, to a Telegram channel that's associated with the government. And I'm saying that because, as I said before, it's a dictatorship state. The government media is controlled, and you never really know who's where, what is what, and you're just left to assume. So bear with me here. It's I do not have the facts. I'm sorry, but I have things to show. So I guess we'll just do that. So they threw out this sticker pack. The ominous they, just like the flat earthers do. And it's pretty cringe, to be honest. It's something that a boomer would attempt to do. And it's pretty funny. They call the president father, Batka, which is like you must like think. You don't need to even think actually to understand why that's incredibly dumb to call your president like Batka. That's Stockholm syndrome right there. More like a drunk stepfather, I'd say. I guess the TNT sticks represent the fact that like people would ruin the country if they would like take over the peaceful utopia that he created in the past 26 years. The Nazi flag, that's just insulting, considering that Belarus was the country, the forefront of the battlefield of Russians, I guess we could say, because it was the USSR and the Nazis. It wasn't the Moscow that held them off, it was us. We were at the front lines, and now the government just takes the original flag of Belarus. We have two flags. Before Lukashenko assumed power in '94, this flag, the white, red, and white, was the sort of government flag, even. He took oath while that flag stood right next to him. There's video of that, video evidence. And now he and his cronies are like pointing to this flag and say, hey, did you know that this flag is a Nazi flag? Yeah, buddy? What are you, a Nazi? Coming out with that flag on my streets? So that's kind of that. That's the context of all of this. So the second one.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is more of I'm just walking. This is referring to like the police, riot police just grabbing random people off the streets. And this sticker just like implies that that's not the case. That these people had bricks and Molotovs. And I'm not going to lie, some people did. When protests erupted, there were incidents of people using Molotovs and breaking down the pavements to defend themselves from the cops that were shooting at them with rubber bullets and throwing flashbangs that are strong enough to rip your leg off. So, and there's actually video of random people specifically that are just walking. There's like, as we watched on the previous stream before, there was video of the riot police just walking into a enclosed neighborhood that's surrounded by apartment complex and just beating the living shit out of people that were just sitting on the bench. So take that as you will. So the second one is a lady like texting someone, and the top one says, take care of yourself. And the person is on the phone is saying, we'll be here and here, implying that the caring patriot is worried for those silly little protesters that are playing some little game somewhere out there. The third one is, I guess, a crazed wife and her husband, and he is completely regretting coming out with her to protest the government. He's like, I should have stayed home and played World of Tanks, as if he's wasting his time.
Well, just on that, because there is a bit of context here that should be given. Wargaming, the company that created World of Tanks, is it originated in Belarus. And because of the issues surrounding private companies getting investment and getting funding, they've actually moved their headquarters out of Belarus and into, I think it's Cyprus now, actually, that they have their headquarters in. So the fact that they're actually claiming World of Tanks when they've pushed World of Tanks out of Belarus is very interesting.
Yeah, it reeks of hypocrisy.
Indeed, it does.
We can have a look at the next one. These are my favorite ones. So, the first one, me, us, father. The whole father bit is just, well, cringe. It's imitating actually a different slogan. The me, us, hang on. Yeah, me, us, 97. That's the original slogan. I believe it was created either by Tikhanovskaya or her husband, Sergei. But this is an imitation game. That's what they're doing. They can't create anything of their own. They are just simply trying to adapt. And it's kind of cringe. The 97% is referring to when the election cycle was happening, there was an independent polling that said that Lukashenko was polling at 3%. So 100%, 97%, 3%, 97%.
Wow.
You get the picture.
Yeah.
That's why me, us, 97. The second one, we won't forfeit the country in the middle finger. Classic. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory. He said himself, we won't give them the country, the ominous them, because he points fingers pretty much at everyone, at Russians, at Ukrainians, at Polish people, and he even went after Czech Republic for some reason, Lithuania too. It's all over the place, really. He has enemies all around him, like a psychotic, like a person with psychotic paranoia. Enemies everywhere.
Wow.
It almost seems like a European North Korea.
In a way, it is. In a lot of ways, it is.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's just taking rebellion and owning it so nobody can use it against you kind of thing, right?
Exactly. That's his game. He tries to manipulate people. He's very manipulative. He tries to manipulate people's minds into compliance this way. And he did a really interesting thing recently. He had a press briefing where he said that the opposition leaders, they gathered into they organized a group that would be responsible for transfer of power from him to them. So they are kindly asking him to step down and just transfer the power. They're not, there's no demand. Well, it kind of is a demand because it's clear that he did not win. 80% my ass, bro.
Right.
Like, I've been to the August 16th protest. I've seen, I don't know, maybe even 1 million, maybe more. I don't know. There was so many people that I couldn't ride my bike.
And those are only the ones willing to come out and protest. How many others weren't but still didn't vote for him?
I mean, it's important to state that one of the opposition was polling at I can't even pronounce her name.
Sveta.
Yeah, sorry. She was polling at about 75%. So the idea that he won by 80% or 80 or 90% is ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, nothing says a valid election by over 70% on one side. That doesn't happen.
And these
anywhere.
were independent. These were independent polling companies that were polling the people.
And you want to hear something funny? Independent pollings are forbidden in my country.
Oh,
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? Only
That's
government
not right.
pollings are allowed. It's
This
bullshit.
guy related to Kim?
He
Don't know.
must be.
Perhaps.
He must be.
Wow, it's pretty intense. Is there more in this election?
More as in?
The sticker collection here you're showing?
Yeah, we can keep going. There's like a couple of more. Yeah. This is the best part. The guy being scolded. The top bar says, "Were you paid off?" And the sign the protesting guy is standing with, it says, "Get rid of the government so that the grass even won't even grow in its place." Scorch the earth type of stuff. And then underneath it says, "Or were you ashamed of your Maidan-tarded friends?" For those who don't know what Maidan is, it's the square of which on which Ukrainian people started their revolution, I guess we can call it that. That's what the square was called. So Maidan and then tarded, like a ball tard. You get the picture.
Yes.
So he actually said this word on TV too, and it's amazing. So
Wow.
It's kind of upsetting, really, because nobody paid me when I went to protest. I hate him. He broke. I because of him, I grew up a broken man, top to bottom, and I just had to piece myself together to get something resembling a real person.
And for someone that wasn't here in the last chat, something you said which was very interesting, and you showed it. He actually came on TV at one stage and admitted to voter tampering.
Yeah, he multiple times even. There's multiple videos. I will in this album that you see right now. There is a video of this. If you feel like looking at it, it's not interpreted because, excuse me, that video is about 20 years old. Nobody bothered translating that, but I will. I will take those videos, I will subtitle them, and they will be on my second channel. So video number 6, that's where it's at. He sits in front of a group of Russian reporters that it's like a summit. They ask him, were you actually serious about the fact that you tampered with voting? And he responded, giving him space to actually make his way out of this one. He instead goes and says, yeah, I actually did. We kind of had 97.5%, and people didn't like that in Europe, so we had to lower them a little bit to 80-ish. Was it 80? Yeah, I guess it was 80, yeah. And it's just incredible. This man, he cares not about any of this. He will tell you straight to your face that you're a piece of shit, that you're meat, and you just you're just sitting there holy crap, I'm cattle.
Wow.
Yeah. That almost doesn't surprise me because I've been reading a bit about the man during the first stream and during the break there, and in October of 2007, Lukashenko said the following words in regards to a city called, I'm gonna not pronounce this right, Babrusk.
Babrusk.
What he said about it was, quote, "This is a Jewish city, and the Jews are not concerned for the place they live in. They have turned the city into a pigsty. Look at Israel. I was there and saw it myself." So,
wow.
Seems he has some pretty deep-seated hatreds for a lot of people, which does not bode well for a country leader.
Exactly. And you know what's interesting? He brings up this whole, he didn't, this whole sticker thing, that's nothing. He said that on TV too. He said all these people are being funded, blah blah blah. He what he even did, he rounded up some people, and I don't know, threatened them or something, and they made on national TV they made a report showing tons of bags in a room, and then they were shaking them, and stacks of cash were falling out of them. I was just laughing my tits off. Are you stupid? You really think that they would give them cash, you dumb idiot. Like, even if they were paid off by fucking some European... he's pretty much implying Soros, that George Soros or something like that did it. But you know what's the most funniest thing? As I said, nobody paid me to go protest. I did it because of the absolutely boiling hatred I have for this man. And can you please bring up that Twitter link where people are riding inside of a bus?
Not sure which one that is. I think
there should be one. I'm pretty sure I
see
linked
here.
it.
I've got. Let's see here. Is it this one?
It's a bus with like flags and balloons inside of it.
Ah. Is it this one? No.
No. That's different. We're gonna bring that up later. Oh, maybe I didn't give it to you. Shit.
There it is. There it is. I think.
No, that's not inside of a bus. Sorry.
I'm not seeing any of them inside of a bus.
Then I think I made a mistake and didn't give it to you. Give me a moment. I will. That's my fault. My bad. Scold me.
You're fine. Don't worry about it. This is kind of a off the cuff
That
stuff.
is,
So
it is that last link. If you scroll down, you will see the bus.
if I scroll down, okay.
Okay, no, not that one.
Pull that down.
If Monkey was here, he'd be flinging shit by now.
Oh, I think you'd be doing more than that.
Monkey's
okay. I got it. It's in that chain of tweets. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, so we'll do that.
Yeah. So, what you're looking at right now is game of adaptation, evolution, as I said. When he saw that people were organizing against him, he decided, okay, I guess I'll whip up some support of my own. So he started assembling people from all across the country. He got them. They drove them to the capital, Minsk, on buses. They gave them merchandise like flags and balloons, and that lady at the end, she is teaching them the chants. Not they're not coming up with their own, like spontaneously, like we did. I actually came up with like a lot of spontaneous chants that people didn't even pick up and told me to shut the fuck up because I was rude.
Well,
Legit.
It is worth saying that in 2011, during the uprising in Egypt, the Egyptian government did the exact same thing. They were busing people in from all over Egypt into Cairo to present it as though most of the country loved the regime.
And this man that does this tells me that Europe is paying me. I'm broke. My pockets are empty. I'm barely having enough money because he turned off the internet. I wasn't able to finish my commissions, the video editing. I tried explaining people through the half broken, half working internet that the internet is gone. I can't push 3 gigabytes worth of video material through a non-existent network, and the people just didn't understand and left. I actually lost money rather than gained money, and this fuck tells me that I'm being paid off by Europe. Right to my face. The cunt. Calm at sea.
Say what you need to.
Okay. We can have a look back at the stickers, if that's not hard. So, the middle one is pretty ironic because he says shame. It says shame to traitors, and it has the flag that he came up with. in '96, I believe, he established that flag. I'm not exactly sure. My memory is a little bit wonky. But yeah, so people started using that ironically, pretty much on everything, and I will too. I'm currently cooking up a video that I have a GoPro stabilizer like stick, and a GoPro Hero 5, and I filmed like a lot of the August 16th protest. But I'm using that sticker as a cover up for the license plates on cars, so that these chumps couldn't like track people down later by finding this video and looking at like number plates, because they could easily could. And the third one is flag of freedom question mark, because the flag was in effect pretty much during the Nazi invasion, and there's a lot of people that associate the flag with Nazism for some reason, even though it has literally nothing to do with it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for this one. So this one, Nexa, is simply raking in the cash. So Nexa is the guy, the biggest dude. He is a man that lived once in Belarus. He left to live overseas, I believe in Poland. I'm not exactly sure. And from there, he established a media group, independent journalism. And he created a Telegram channel in which pretty much kicked off this whole escapade with people chiming in and just sharing information to spread the word. And he's helping. He's a really great man. And actually, my government issued him 15 years of prison for that. Imagine that. For what? Don't know. Don't care. They always come up with some nonsense, just like they came up with like Sergei's sentence for whatever. The middle one is pretty funny. It's my vote is for Alexander Lukashenko, and then it lists other candidate, and Lukashenko is the one that's ticked. He just tells you to your face who the heck you are in his eyes. Blogger, blogger's wife, oligarch, and some murky guy. That's blogger being oh god, my head is not functioning. Sergei Tikhanovsky, blogger's wife is Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, oligarch is Viktor Babarika, and murky guy is Valery Tsepkalo. That's pretty much all of the like real candidates. Thing is that he didn't mention any of the stooges,
This is the real opposition.
the pseudo candidates. Yeah, so you don't have to be a genius to understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's trying to delegitimize the real opposition there.
It's just calling people names.
And I like that he somehow thinks an oligarch is somehow below a dictator. Yeah. Like an oligarch is like, oligarchy isn't great either, but it's a lot better than dictatorship.
Hell yeah.
I do want to read out one comment from the chat real quick. PhD Tony says, "Don't be calm. He's a piece of crap who is destroying people's lives. You should be angry. We should all be angry."
I'm being calm for the sake of my own sanity, really, because I came to a boiling point that I almost lost it. It felt like screaming, fucking just continuously. So, the last one is Father Come Back, and the picture pretty much speaks for itself. 2021. Countries in ruins. The hexagon thingy is actually a library, a huge building in Minsk that he built himself. Well, not with his own hands, but he put money into that.
Is that the National Library of Belarus?
Indeed. So the first one is pretty much self-explanatory, calling the people protesting sheep, just like a crazy flat earther would. You know, a conspiracy theorist saying, "Oh, you're just all sheep. You ain't woke enough." So the middle one is, it says, "It's easy to run your mouth from Lithuania." This one refers to Svetlana, the main last candidate. She had to flee because she came to the government building with a formal complaint about the riots and et cetera, et cetera. Instead, what she received was threats, and she was held there captive for about 7 hours, I believe. And after she left, she fled to Lithuania, like straight ahead. She didn't even stop. And after that, the government releases a video of her like looking down at a piece of paper. Not once did she lift her head to look at the camera. She was looking down all the time and holding a piece of paper in her hand. And she was reading a message saying, the protesters should disperse and not come out on the streets. Please respect the established authorities and please don't go out because you're gonna get harmed. And then they have the gall to fucking put a sticker like this out there that she's just being paid off by fucking Lithuania or something.
Oh, that was my thought. Looking at that, was I would assume that it's not easy to run your mouth from Lithuania, but you can do it and not be killed for it. Is probably what she was thinking.
Yeah, actually, there's a man. Shit, give me a moment. There's this Lithuanian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Linas Linkevičius. And he's been doing a fantastic job. I just have to give the man credit. Ever since this whole mess started, he was at our side and helping like mad. The only things that he tweets about is us. And it's fantastic. The man is a saint in the flesh. He is, I assume he was the one that had a hand in helping Svetlana flee. Which is really great. At least she's alive. But her husband is still held captive as a hostage. So there's that. The last one is says Amon, which is the riot police, the most severe police in my country, is a remedy for mass stupidity. And they have blood drops on that sticker. I have no words to describe how mad I am looking at that.
I mean, it just oozes contempt for people, doesn't it? That's the only word that jumps to mind, contempt. There's no belief in ordinary people who have built the country.
This is like classism to an absolute extreme.
Yeah.
Cattle. Just little sheep running on the fields. And you're looking at them like what they are.
Yeah,
I apologize if this was discussed earlier, but who's the creator of these stickers and what is their purpose?
The sticker set was created by a Telegram channel, Pulperova. It translates to 1:30, I believe, but with pool instead of. It's kind of hard to explain. It's a sort of a linguistic joke, and that particular channel is super government focused. And in my country, the only things that are focused on the government like that, with such vigor, is government sponsored, usually.
Right. I was going to describe it. It's basically like state-run propaganda, right?
So not officially from the government, but basically from the government.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough. I really like solid, tangible evidence that I can look at, verify, and establish for myself that this is in fact real and factual. The reason that I grew up with such a view of the world and need for this is because in my country there is no truth, there is no facts, there is no the reality is whatever they can, is like clay. They can twist and turn and do whatever the hell they like with it. And a lot of things are just word of mouth, just spread by people and assumptions, and it sucks. I know, and just hear me out. Unfortunately, that's the only thing that can be said about this. Yeah.
I just wanted to add, I think there's probably a very good reason that this is being spread via Telegram. Telegram is becoming notorious as a haven for shady activity, because the way it operates covers its tracks very well. It's not so easy to track people down on Telegram. For instance, the online pedophilia movement that I've been helping to uncover often traces back to Telegram. So it's worrying that state-funded propaganda comes from such a shady app to begin with, or is being spread over such a shady app to begin with.
Well, it kind of swings. Well, freedom, true freedom breeds things like that, and it has its downsides, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, I'm not sure. You know what? Let's finish. Let's have a look at the last one and just be done with this stupid sticker set. I think people had enough of this bullshit. So the first one is people jumping off a cliff with their movement. So pretty much saying that it goes nowhere and you're just gonna fail.
It's a Lemmings reference, right?
Yeah. The second one is I'm for order in the country and a factory and a tractor. This is pretty interesting because that's the only thing that matters to them. Factories and just production. Physical things that they can order, control, and factories and tractors. That's it. Yeah, ironically enough, he once said when he was denying the existence of coronavirus that a tractor will heal anyone, meaning that you should shut the fuck up and get into the field and work. The last one is Alex will stay with us, and a flag from a car. And this is the funniest bit because the flag is oriented in the wrong way. The ornament part, which is the white and red sort of stitches and hexagons, it's supposed to be at the pole side. So these simpletons cannot even get their flag right. And people were mocking it relentlessly for that. But it's still there. It's unchanged. They don't care.
It's kind of like when neo-Nazis accidentally draw the Hindu symbol of peace.
Yeah. Well, these people don't have much brain matter to begin with. So that's kind of that. Have a couple of things. We can have a bit of an intermission and have a look at the bright side of things. We can bring up the Imager folder with photos that I took personally from the protest on the 16th. No, not that one. That's we probably should come back to that later. Or maybe we can actually do that. Oh yeah, that one. I just try to expand one of them and just I believe you can use the arrow keys to or we can do it like that, just zooming in. So this was at the Lenin Square in Minsk. And this man was walking with the original flag, and at the back there's the government building with the Lukashenko's flag, and I was like, "Hey man, can you just pause for a second and take a picture on that?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, man." So I took that shot, and then he asked for an email, so I sent it to him. It's pretty nice. Oh, you can scroll quite a bit because there's multiple of them, just like. There's a couple of signs in English, I believe. That the one with the storks was great. So there's a statue with storks. Storks are like the national sort of symbol. Bisons and storks. And this kid, this like, I don't know, 17, 16, he just, on the Lenin Square, he just crawls on top of those storks and starts waving the flag. It was so symbolic, I couldn't resist to take a picture. That day, there wasn't any like policemen because they had to dial in the violence because it was going viral like crazy, and it wasn't a good look. You can just stay zoomed in and probably scroll now.
I wish this web browser worked that way. Maybe I should have done the tab thing that Dick suggested, but it's a little bit not on it right now, so.
It's all right.
Then there's this one. Which is just, wait, go back, come on. It's being stubborn. It doesn't want to stop where I want it to stop. So this is just a big flag?
Yeah, they stretched out a long flag all across, like, it was, I don't know, 30, 40 meters long. It was crazy. I just stood, I couldn't resist taking a picture. I just kneeled because it was like, I needed to stretch my arms inwards to the red part to take that shot. So, yeah. There was lots of people with signs. It's the sign reads, if you love, just let go. Because he multiple times he said that quote, I will not be holding I will not be holding on to power with blue decaying fingers. Something along those lines. But he never delivered on that promise. He's still holding on. He doesn't care. He doesn't follow through on his promise. So, and then he said something along those lines that I would never. Yeah, I love this girl. I love this girl so much. She was sitting there, and she was she had a sign saying it's better to be gay than a dictator. And that's a reference to him actually saying in the previous album on the first video he said it's let me see, what did he say? It's better to die standing than to live on your knees.
And
in relation to COVID.
In 2012, there was a quote from Lukashenko about he was called a dictator in Germany. And he basically responded by saying, whoever was shouting dictatorship there, when I heard that, I thought it's better to be a dictator than to be gay.
Oh, so that's what that reference was.
That's what that was from, yeah.
I thought it was referring the COVID thing. Oh, man.
I just looked it up, and it looks like that's been kind of a slogan for LGBT rights in Belarus. It's better to be gay than a dictator.
Really? I'm kind of disconnected from the LGBT community.
Okay.
But all I know for sure, like 100%, that they're being persecuted like a motherfucker.
Mm.
Just like random people even have like severe distaste towards them. let alone government official. Actually, funny thing happened. There was a man, I believe his last name is Karayev. He referred to LGBT people in Belarus as filled with holes, both metaphorically and literally, saying things like that they are holes in the education system, holes in the government, and they are leaking. And they also have holes where they are not supposed to, and doing things in holes they are not supposed to. And you're like, ooh la la.
While we're on this point of quotes from Apple, I don't know if you've heard this quote, but here's another one that he gave in 2012. Look outside the window. Do you see the fence outside the palace? Do you see any guards? No, this is a country where everyone is safe.
Ironically enough,
if you were to look at those videos from the first part, I mean, Christ almighty.
And also his residency, the biggest one in Minsk, it actually has a fence and has guards. This sign says, your Uber discomfort has arrived, and it has the detention vehicle on it. Because when you order an Uber, it gives you options like Uber Comfort, Uber like what's it called? The better one than Comfort.
Luxury.
Yes, luxury thing.
And then there's like just the really big honking vehicle because you have a gaggle of people.
Yeah. When I went to that protest for the first time in my life, I'm going to reiterate what I said in the previous stream at the end. There's this man, calls himself Mr. Freeman on the internet. He's Russian. He always made videos in Russian. He's an animated character. He's not a real person. And only recently he started making videos in English. So I really extremely recommend you to have a watch at what he has, because that man just says things that you will never probably hear from anyone. So 10 years ago, he made a video in which he said the following words, quote, so it turns out that I'm real and you are not. You are someone else's, you are just someone else's, a fragment of someone else's imagination. You just haven't been drawn yet. And you will really need to try to prove me otherwise, and prove to yourself that you can call yourself alive. Something along those lines. I can't remember the exact text. But the meaning of that, I only understood that meaning. That was 10 years ago. Only on August 16th, 2020, I realized what that meant. For real, what it means to be alive. Because all of those people surrounding me, I felt united with them. I felt like they are my people for the first time in my life. For the first time in my life, I was able to say what I wanted to say. Because prior to that, I was terrified all my life. Because you say one thing, that you criticize the president, they take you in. It's amazing, really. It felt like nothing else.
I do want to make this point because I think it's an important one. When you grow up with that kind of mindset being normal, guys, this is not normal. Nothing about that is normal. The idea that if you criticize your government or any government employee, that you can be taken from your family, that you can be jailed, that you will not get a solicitor, and they can do whatever the hell they want, that should not be normal in any way, shape, or form in any civilized society. Like that to me is the scariest part.
That's normal. About that, it's the most interesting thing. Like, Americans please don't take offense. A lot of Americans take speech for granted, and they are saying that they are afraid to speak up against Orange Man. But I think you speak a lot, quite a lot, and Orange Man can't hurt you directly. This guy, he can. He will find where you are, and he will order his dogs to come and take you away. And and by the way, the best part, we still have the death sentence in this country, and the way that they execute people is not the best way. There's no lethal injections, none of that fancy stuff. They put you against the wall, and they just unload a whole clip from AK-47. That's it. That's your execution.
Barbaric.
Yeah, we like to act like these things only exist in like dystopian fiction. Like this sounds like the Norse Fire government from V for Vendetta. No, this is real. This exists.
Yeah. The most interesting thing, there was an election way back when, and we had a terrorist attack in the subway. Some person brought a sports bag filled with I assume it was C4 by the explosion to size ratio. I'm no expert, but I guess that's my guess. So the bomb goes off. Everybody's like, a lot of people die. The government, mind you, this isn't right before the election. The government finds some sort of people on the outskirts of the country and brings them in and says insane shit that they like. These guys that were like factory workers, that they invented some sort of new and completely unknown chemical strand, that explosive strand, that they like planned all of this, and they're terrorists. And when people heard that, everybody understood that he is just fucking framing those people. And
it's a way of delegitimizing protest. That's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, I guess.
In
And
the same
the
way,
word,
in the same way that that sticker about his opponents would delegitimize them as opponents. It's the same thing when you target protesters or when you target people at the border, you're trying to delegitimize them.
well, that's the only way. The most interesting part that happened recently, you might have heard of it, I'm not sure, that my country actually seized 33, wink wink, 33 military people from Russia, from a military organization called Wagner Group. And that happened right at the election cycle, or right before the election cycle. He was like screaming off the television from everywhere that, oh, look at these people. Somebody wants to destabilize our country. We are like being attacked. We must protect our country. We need to retain our sovereignty, blah blah blah. It's a really, really obvious like ploy to exploit people's fears, but people didn't buy any of that because he was lying to us for 26 years in a row. And
It is interesting. It is interesting to see the economy in Belarus, because for so many years it's been propped up by subsidies from Russia. And if you look at the likes of Ukraine, if you look at, and this is what I wanted to come back in on from the first one, you talked about 2015 and 2016, and people, weren't really happy with what was going on, but they didn't really do anything, mainly because I don't think they felt that they could. But just to give a bit of context to that, in 2013 in Ukraine, there was huge uprisings, and their president actually fled the country for a while. In 2014, there was another uprising, and it was quickly quashed because Russia actually came in and invaded parts of Ukraine. The 12th of February, 2015, saw Minsk actually host a peace conference and an agreement. So there was a lot of, from what I can tell, a lot of the frustration around what was happening in Belarus kind of said, well, if we do go down the road of what Ukraine is doing and we do uprise, well, you have Europe, you have the US, and you have all of the imperialist powers telling you to sort it out, or we'll invade you and we'll crush you. Does that make any sense at all?
It does. It does. I actually wanted to expand on the balancing act, like right now, today, specifically. Like, we are stuck, and we are stuck really bad. We are a very small country. We are surrounded by both Russia and Europe at the same time. On one side, we have Poland, Lithuania, I believe Latvia. Who else? Poland, Latvia, Lithuania. Shit, my geography is kind of kicking my ass right now. One moment, please. I'll open up the map because it's 4 a.m. and my mind does not seem to function entirely correctly.
That is completely understandable.
Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Ukraine.
Yeah.
So the Western Bloc and we have the Eastern Bloc, and we are stuck in the middle. We are the needle between the what's it called? God damn it, my English.
The needle and ace.
The weights between two weights.
The rock in a hard place is what you're looking for.
Yes, thank you. Well, if you tip the balance in one or the other direction, it will fall completely in one or the other direction, and everybody understands that. If, for example, Putin puts in helps Lukashenko and drives in his army, the Europe is going to treat that as an invasion because Russia is encroaching onto territory that's will allow Russia to like be closer to Europe. They don't want that, nor does Russia. They don't want the NATO forces to move into Belarus, and we're kind of stuck in this sort of balance. And not only that, I believe that Putin actually will not help Lukashenko because no matter how Lukashenko pleads with him, Putin will simply not help because, first of all, the balance. Second of all, he has protests happening on his own. And if he does something risky, like moving into Belarus, people might flip the fuck out in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Even
but
more.
It's also the fact that in the last 10, 15 years, well, 10 years at least, he has failed, Lukashenko has failed to actually merge the two countries like he had originally in 26 years ago. When they first, again, see,
he didn't actually fail.
Well, I mean, he has promised on various occasions that he will merge the two, and Lukashenko will still retain power in Belarus, but they will merge.
I can tell you what this whole merging thing was about.
Yeah.
Putin had a plan His plan was to unite the two countries together again. From the Soviet times, the brotherly nations are together once more. And by doing so, he would exploit that as a loophole to retain his power.
Mhm.
But he needed to talk down Lukashenko into doing so. Lukashenko being the stubborn goat that he is, he jumped off that train at the last second and said, "Bye-bye, I don't care." And of course, Putin wasn't happy about that, and he needed to improvise. Hence why came the reform of their constitution. That's why that happened. Because the joint nations thing failed. Well, failed. Lukashenko dished him. And luckily for Putin, he managed to become the Tsar again of Russia, the new Tsar.
But do you think that would have something to do with Putin's reluctance to help Lukashenko now?
The reluctance comes from the fact that he was backstabbing him for years. Lukashenko, that is.
Yes.
Whether it was with... excuse me for a second. Oh my, these coughs are getting hard. Anyway, Lukashenko was pretty much scamming him for years. Whether it was the continuous scam deals with the oil, the gas, that was their biggest problems. Lukashenko gets on his knees every New Year's and crawls to Putin and asks for gas and lower prices, and Putin says fine, and they sign a contract, and Lukashenko runs back to his country all happy because he has that precious gas that he can fuel the country with. And then once he gets what he wants, he flips Putin off and says, "You know what? Fuck you. Your prices are too high. I'm not gonna pay those." Why Kazakhstan or no, not Kazakhstan, the Arabic, I believe, or Europe. He was complaining about some other countries, bringing other countries as an example, oh, they have lower prices. Why is the brotherly nation giving this $39 per barrel? That's not fair. I'm not going to pay for that. And that's been happening for years.
So
and
again,
I have
people for context for people. Belarus, as well as the IT sector, a lot of it is machinery. I know tractors are a big thing. I think 60% of the tractors go to Russia, and in exchange for that, they got at one stage 50% of the cost of the oil, and now it's up at 80%. I think it is. Would I be correct in saying that?
Say it again.
From what I've read, the original deal 20 odd years ago was that they would get the oil and the gas, well, the oil in particular, which is for the manufacturing side of Belarus. They got it for 50% of what everybody else was paying for it. And then about 12 years ago, I think now, they raised that up to 80% of what everyone else did.
I believe so, yes. We are also rolled into something called the trade union between the countries of CIS, the former Soviet CIS. I can't remember how that's deciphered, but that's what it's called. Give me a moment. Commonwealth of Independent States, pardon me. I am ashamed for forgetting that, because that's the most important thing. So we are enrolled in that union, and a lot of things, much like in the European Union, and between the countries, you get transfers of vehicles and gas on sort of discounts.
Yeah.
And that's how it's been going for a while. Speaking, by the way, of tractors and the recent sort of meme, I would say, the people that are protesting across the country, the factory workers are halting production pretty much on every factory that there is in the country, and because the factories are government owned, yes, just like in the Soviet Union, just like in the good old days. That's the time, that's the moment when Lukashenko finally got off his ass and started treating this seriously. He actually went to a factory, the God damn it, my head hurts so much. Anyway, he went to a factory in Minsk to speak with the workers, and they didn't welcome him very much. First of all, he played a phone call, a private phone call for everyone through speakers, because he thought that it would be a good thing to show that people were conspiring against him. But in the phone call, people were just saying, yeah, he's an asshole, like, fuck his 80%, like, if he shows up, let's just boo him down. And people started booing him for that, and screaming at him, get out. And the face on that man, when they started screaming in his face, get out, he looked like a cartoon, like they had like squiggly lines running around his outline, and then he's like, thank you. And after that, he stepped down off the podium and went to talk with people, screamed at the workers, told them to get their phone away. It's amazing what that man's like.
We touched on this on the first part, and sorry guys, I'm talking too much because I'm fascinated about what's happening, and I do want to get this information out. He said something to the workers in one of the factories to the extent of, if you want another election, you're going to have to kill me, basically.
Yeah, he basically said, over my dead body. He's a very strange man. He says that he's not going to hold on to power with his post-mortem blue fingers. And then he says, over my dead body, you're going to get this country. And then he says, I will never give away my precious. Like, he literally said that, literally, about the country.
Oh my God.
Precious is like, he said, my love. If you translate like literally, it's, I will never give away my love, my true love. But my precious, it's like interpreting it more correctly to fit the idea of what he was saying. It's fantastic. It's like, I've been going through all of this, and I'm like, one phrase was ringing in my head, like, more than anything else. 2020 is the most shittiest year there ever was. But hey, maybe it will all turn out at the end.
I do hope so. And again, something you said at the end of the last stream was your message to people was not to feel sad about this. And yeah, I mean, if you watch the videos from the first stream, it was absolutely devastating watching those. It really broke my heart. And I think I speak for all the panel and everybody watching both streams when we say we absolutely support you, we support your people, we support the country getting through this. One thing that you were saying was, don't feel sad. It's important to get this out. It's important to talk about this and get this information out. Where do you see, because this is something that we were kind of hinting on in the break, if he leaves and if you get rid of him, how do you see the country moving forward?
Oh, trust me. Everybody's aware of all the corruption. First of all, people are demanding that all of those demons that are wearing human skin and pretending to be one of us, that were like brutalizing people. All of them are going to be like found out and put to rest, so to speak, because I saw one person. There's this one person. He is a restaurant owner. Man, my brain is just refusing to give me out names. He's very famous in Minsk. He fled to Korea when the election started because whatever, don't really know why. He started pumping out like super these weird noir style videos. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he said one simple thing. You haven't canceled the death sentence. Well, you're going to be the last one to go through it, so to speak. So people are really like not happy with those who hurt them, and thirst for blood is really in the air. So there will be changes, definitely, in the entire system, not just the presidency, because it goes far beyond that. It extends into like crevices that are microscopic in size, so to speak, metaphorically.
Yeah, because some of the anger is also not just because he got back in, but because he put in the same ministers that were there before, and people had real problems with them. And it reminds me of, I was talking to an Egyptian lad just after their uprising, and what he said to me was, because I was doing a report on it, what he said to me was, we got rid of the dictator, now we have to get rid of the dictatorship. Is that the feeling there in Belarus at the moment?
I would say yes. That's what people are feeling, because when I was on the protest on August 16th at Lenin Square, there was this man, Ales Chernyshevsky. He is part of the Belarusian Christian Conservative Party. And he said something really interesting. Oh man, my brain is just I'm receiving brain fart after brain fart. What was the question again?
Yeah, just in relation to once he's gone, what then replaces it? Do you go after, getting rid of the dictator doesn't necessarily mean you get rid of dictatorship.
Oh, yeah. So he said one really important thing, that we must not allow, if Lukashenko leaves, we must not allow this system to gain hold of us once again, or allowing Russia to establish a puppet in his stead to keep us in control. That's what were his words. And it kind of resonated, because, for example, that guy that fled from Ukraine, he was a Russian puppet. For certain.
I mean, look, for me, this has been absolutely invaluable. I have been following it over the last couple of weeks, just as it's been building. And again, I will repeat what I said at the end of the first one. All along you've seen bits of resistance to dictatorship. And for whatever reason, it hasn't brought change that people want. And from 2015, what you were talking about in the first one, 2015, and the unrest and the kind of frustrations there, fear kind of gripped people. And that fear over the last number of weeks and months turned to anger. And through that anger, instead of being destructive, they kind of directed it in a positive way to bring about change. And for me, that's seeing all of the brutality that you guys are facing over there. It's inspiring to see that you could face that much brutality and still have hope, still
I wasn't
believe in
expecting.
change. That's amazing.
I wasn't expecting it either. When I was growing up in this country, I didn't really. I hated everybody because the system hated me, and in turn, I directed my anger at everybody else, meaning thinking that they were just like the system. And the thing that I didn't realize that they were angry at the system as well. They weren't. They weren't bad per se. And when people started protesting and protesting peacefully, the first like nights, 3 nights of riots when people were using like bricks and Molotovs, it was in self-defense. It wasn't like starting with that. People just were desperate, and after that, women started coming out and forming solidarity chains with flowers, demanding the violence to stop. And when I saw that, I was just I couldn't sit idly by. I just went like there were a few next to my house. I went out and shook their hands, and then got back to my house immediately because I was fucking terrified. But what those women did, you know why those women succeeded at that? Because here in Slavic countries, just like the sexist prick, there's a sort of it's hardwired in people's heads that women should not be abused, and that includes the riot police. So they weren't touched while guys were being taken away. And it's both like it's again evolution: survive, adapt, overcome. That's why women started coming out, then doctors, and everybody else, then the workers. It's pretty interesting. I never experienced something like that in my life. I never thought I would, actually, either. It feels like I have a family. Like the people around me, they are my family, but I never saw them like that. It's strange.
I mean, yeah, I come from a country where, we came through a revolution 100 years ago and then a civil war, and we are a close-knit community, really. So I couldn't imagine what it's like to be so alienated from your own people. So to see that come out, it's something positive come out of it, that you actually feel like family, like a community. That's incredible.
You know why people were so far apart from each other? It's because this regime, it did like a very important thing. Any dictatorship, when it comes to the first objective is control, and control is delivered through fear, and fear can be implemented by distrust. So if you make people distrust each other and everyone around them, that's all you need. So they did just that. People never trusted each other. Never. Until today.
When you grow up in a militaristic situation where you're taken away at any time, it's very hard to trust the people around you.
Yeah. It's like anything can happen at any moment. And like, for example, these undercover cops, they're everywhere. You never know who is a cop. Like I was riding like a taxi, like Uber, but Russian, Yandex. I was riding and talking with the driver like I usually do because I like that. I like to know what people think. In mid-conversation, I realized that he's a cop. And so I stopped talking. He was like, Why'd
Oh.
you stop talking? Why'd you stop talking, huh? I'm like, nothing. I just,
Oh, that's fine.
yeah.
Well,
So there, yeah.
I was just going to say we've been going for about 90 minutes now. We do need to get around to wrapping up soon, but I wanted to just say I think if anything, at the very least, we've learned that many of us have it very easy where we live. We've taken things for granted, and this is a situation that requires worldwide care. I think this is something that needs a enormous spotlight shone on it, and I think we can help to do that. When you when you're browsing Twitter or Facebook or wherever, and you see people from Belarus speaking out about what's going on in their country, support them, promote them, do everything you can, because from what I've heard today, it sounds like one of the best case scenarios, the country might end up with something like the siege of Sarajevo, if you've ever heard of that. 1993 to 5, I think, people spent over 2,000 days being constantly besieged in their homes by two opposing forces, one run by the government, one wanting to overthrow that government. That seems like a best case scenario for Belarus, and that's a very frightening future to have in front of you. So if we can avoid something like that,
I also think it's important that we avoid a Syria repeat, because one of the things that happened in Syria was you had a very heavily weaponized state going up against a non-weaponized or a very little weaponized public, and they kind of call that a civil war, and there was nothing civil about that. And if we can avoid that in Belarus and see the progression to real elections, that'd be incredible. So please do share these streams wherever you go, and try get the message out there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Should we quickly just go around the table, see what everyone's kind of final thoughts are here? BM Furball, there was some background noise earlier, so I muted you, and you'd have to. Okay, you did it. You muted yourself. Perfect.
Sorry about that. I had a dog wandering around behind me.
No worries. I didn't want you to, because I swear, anytime I have to do that, mute someone because of background noise, they don't notice, and it takes forever for them to be able to talk again. Do you want to? We'll start with yourself there. Any kind of final thoughts to wrap up here?
It's been interesting just sitting here kind of listening. This is not a subject that I am very knowledgeable about, and now it has been brought to my consciousness, so I'm definitely going to do some research. And like I said, if you see anything on Twitter, support, retweet, talk about it, and again, realize that we have it pretty good and others don't.
Yeah, very well said. Let's see. Krafty Keelah, did you want to give your final thoughts here?
Yeah, again, I want to thank Clapperjack for coming on, because what you're doing, being a whistleblower, speaking out about it, is absolutely invaluable, and only through international cooperation can we actually help people in Belarus. I know it's hard, and I know it feels like you're powerless to do anything, but you do have a voice. Every single person on this stream has a voice. Use that voice, spread this, send it to your politicians if you can. Just get it out there. And I hope Clapperjack comes back and updates us with something positive that comes out of all of this.
Absolutely. Steamy Cup of Reason, do you have any final thoughts?
Well, I've been listening to this whole conversation, and it's horrible what's going on over there. I'm shocked that the UN isn't all over this. I mean, like all over it, you know? And I would just like to ask Clapperjack if there's any international organizations or charities that you know about that the global community can help you guys with. Get it out there, you know, in the way of donations or other means of supporting the people of Belarus.
Actually, I don't really know, but I have read in the news that Germany offered financial support, I think 58 million euros to people that are protesting and have lost their jobs. At least that's what I read. I'm not exactly sure how true that is or when that's going to be implemented, or even if it would be allowed, for that matter.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And Booleanenator, your final thought?
Well, this all reminds me of, they say history repeats itself, and we've seen this injustice in the world so many times. This type of injustice. I went into the military in 1995, and the ongoing thing at that point was, Bosnia and Herzegovina versus Serbia.
Yeah, the siege of Sarajevo. That's what that was about, right?
And yeah, exactly. When he brought up Sarajevo, it just clicked in my head. It was like, yeah, that was that's a scary thought that could happen again. But it could. And then there's the whole Aleppo tragedy. Again, we don't want to do that, and they're already talking about sanctions. People, all sanctions do is create a black market in the country and make it even poorer. It's not necessarily helpful to the people of that country. It puts pressure on a government, true, but at what cost? So when you hear about sanctions, don't say "yay sanctions" or anything like that. It's disturbing that they're talking about sanctions when it's been proven that sanctions don't actually improve the situation that much.
Right.
And it won't. Unfortunately, in the case of Belarus, I think the change is going to have to continue to come from within as well as without, but not in the form of pressuring that government that exists there. It's going to that government has got to go. It's just it's corrupt. It's non-functional for the people. It's got to go.
Very well said. And Aimee Hogan, your thoughts?
Yes, and I have to. One thing that really stood out to me and has been made clear is how much we do take for granted here in the U.S., including the freedom of speech. We can say we are free to say whatever, have any criticisms against our government and not face any repercussions from that. And that's something that we do, we take it for granted, and we should be cherishing that, as explained by Jack. And that's one thing that we have to do, is to make sure also to contact our governments and see what we can do to contact our representatives or ministers or whoever you have in your government to see what they can do and get the information out about this. Retweet to them if you have to, retweet, share it on Facebook, do whatever you can to help out, to get this information to the light so that something can be done for them.
Absolutely. Well, Salvatore Polito, I don't want to disagree with you or start any kind of argument, but you say sanctions do work and that the EU is sanctioning the governing entities and the people running Belarus. I'm not sure that seems to be the best example, because if it were, we wouldn't be having this conversation. The issue still exists despite sanctions, so I think we need a little more than that. But really quickly, he had some stuff going on in the background, so I'm not quite sure if he's with us at the moment. Mr. Dawson, are you here? Nope. Okay. I was going to ask for his last words, but we'll have to get them another time. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Clapperjack, give you some kind of final thoughts here before we end the stream.
I've been digesting these past 2 weeks, all of this, trying to understand and get perspectives on things. and people chiming in from all sides and telling like bad and good stuff about the country and the situation. I think I learned a very important lesson about people, specifically people, and how governments operate and try to stifle the will of the people. And I will close this off with a very important message that no matter how bad things are, never allow people that want to silence you to break your spirit, because once your spirit is broken, there's nothing that you can do. And specifically, I want to also give an advice to America, because a lot of people cross-reference my country and use it as a springboard to bitch about Trump. Trump is not the problem. The problem is that the people lost their unity with one another, that you can no longer feel the connection like I felt the connection with my people a few days ago. Once you finally understand one another, no one is going to be the problem. Not Biden, not Trump, nobody. Not the deep state. The will of the people. I implore you to remember that the meaning of those words, will of the people. That will be all.
Thank you very much. Very well said. And again, thanks so much for coming and for bringing this issue to light. I think it's important that we occasionally do this instead of just laughing at silly people that don't really have a bigger impact on the earth. So tonight hopefully we're maybe able to do some good just putting this issue out here. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add before we end the stream? No? Okay. We'll take that silence as a no. And with that, I want to thank everyone for coming. Do what you can. And just like he said, will the people. Remember unity. Remember how important it is. Thank you all for coming. Have a great day.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.